Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about the power of indifference, okay? So this is a good attitude to have when you're dating, or even when you're trying to get an ex back, or you're trying to reattract someone that lost interest. It's always good to have an air of indifference. Now, when I talk about indifference, I don't mean that you're being mean, I don't mean that you're being cold to them or anything like that, or you're playing hard to get or something like that. I'm not saying that, okay? But the ultimate indifference line, I think, is take it or leave it, right? So if someone breaks up with you, it's good to have that take it or leave it attitude and say something like, okay, if you don't want to be with me, that's fine. I want to be with someone who wants to be with me. So yeah, if you want to leave, I'm not going to stop you. I hope you have a good life, right? And you find someone who you want to be with, right? You have to have that kind of attitude, and it's the same with someone that you're dating as well, right? It's a take it or leave it attitude. You offer the invitation to hang out with them, and you can say like, hey, I think you're really good. When are you free to hang out? And you kind of offer that invitation. Now, whether they accept it or decline it, you allow it. You don't try to force things, essentially, right? You have that take it or leave it attitude. Like if they want to hang out with you, then they will say that they do. They will, say yes to going out with you, right? It's like if someone that you're talking to who perhaps you've been on a few dates with lost interest as well, and you start talking to them again, or for whatever reason they message you, you can say, hey, it's great to hear from you. When are you available to hang out again? And if they say yes, then that's great. But if they say no, that's also great, right? Because what that then does, with all of these situations, if someone says no to you, whether it's a no of going out with you, a no of, not, they don't want to be with you anymore, that kind of no, the great thing is if they want to leave, you should let them. Because then if they want to leave, if they want to go, then that's the reality, and you don't want to be with someone, right? You shouldn't be trying to force someone to be with you when they don't want to be there. And why is that? Because it won't be fun to be around them, right? It's going to be difficult. You're always going to be trying to have to convince them that you're worthy, right? Whereas it's much better to just go and find someone else, find someone new who already does see you as worthy, right? So you don't have to convince them. You don't have to show off. You don't have to try and do a number of different things, all these different hat tricks to try and get them to like you or to fall back in love with you, right? It's much better, right, to just find someone who already thinks that you're the bee's knees, right? So you don't have to try and impress them all the time. So if someone wants to leave, right, if someone wants to leave your life or someone wants to lose interest in you, let them, right? Don't force them to try and be in your life. You can extend the invitation and ask them out, ask to see them, but that's about as much as you can do. The rest is up to them, always, right? So because the point is that, especially in dating, you show your interest, right? You show that you're interested in them by asking them out. You don't need to say things like, I love you, or I really, 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 really like you. You don't need to do any confessing or anything. All you need to do is when you like someone is to just ask them out, because they will know, oh yeah, the reason why he or she is asking me out is because they like me. Otherwise, they wouldn't have asked to meet up with me in the evening at a romantic restaurant or bar or place where you go and have a drink. They'll know that you're doing that, right? They'll be able to read between the lines if you ask them out, right? If you just say, hey, I think you're really cute, when are you available to hang out? They'll know exactly what that means. So you don't have to ever say to someone that you really like them or that you're in love with them. You don't ever have to do that. You just have to extend the invitation out to them. And if they want to take it, and if they feel the same way about you, then they will. Right? They will say, oh yeah, I'm free Saturday, I'm free Sunday, I'm free Tuesday afternoon, right? They'll let you know when they're available if they like you, okay? So, you have to have that take it or leave it attitude, right? So if they say no thanks, if they give you sort of a nonsense answer, like, oh yeah, I'm not really looking to date anyone right now, you say, okay, never mind, that's cool with me, right? And then you just sort of basically you just walk away from them, right? You don't try and force someone to be in your life who doesn't want to be there, when you can it's much more easy and effortless if you find someone who already does want to be there. If you find someone who says yes to going out with you, who's enthusiastic about you, right? Because the reality is, if you are asking someone out, and they say no, or I'm busy, or they're giving you all these kinds of excuses, but yet they're still, posting on Instagram that they're hanging out with their friends and things like that. That shows you that they have time for those people, but they don't have time for you, right? So if they don't have time for you, then you find someone who does have time for you. Okay, that's the answer to that. Okay, you let them go. You let them go on their merry way, right? And because what you got to realize is that you can't make everyone attracted to you, or you can't make someone fall back in love with you if they're falling out of love with you, right? They have to come up to that conclusion on their own. They have to fall back in love with you. They have to be interested in you too, right? There's not really much you can do to try and stop that, because attraction is sort of like already in place, especially with dating. So when you ask someone out, they'll say yes if they're attracted to you, but they'll decline if they're not attracted to you. And there's not really much you can do to sway those people that automatically say no, or give a nonsense excuse like, oh yeah, I'm not really looking for anything right now. Because basically things like, oh, I'm not really looking for anything like right now, I don't really want a relationship right now. Things like that. If they say things like that, that's just a nicer way of saying no, okay? So another thing that you need to realize as well is that even if you do care, right, even if you're really bummed out, even if you're really upset about these different circumstances, whether someone's dumped you or whether someone, you asked someone out and they said no, even if you do care, right, you kind of have to pretend that you don't care, right? So I know you might feel like, oh yeah, but that's inauthentic. Like if someone rejects me, if I'm angry, I'm going to let them know about it. You shouldn't, right? Because first of all, that's your emotion. You shouldn't put that emotion on them, okay? You shouldn't put that emotion on them. They can't help it if they're not attracted to you, right? So it's best to just keep it to yourself. Like if you're upset about it, if you're angry about it, keep it to yourself and deal with it on your own. It's not their fault that they don't have that feeling towards you. That they can't do anything about it. If they don't want to be with you, they don't want to be with you. There's not really a lot you can do about it. Just like if someone asked you out, right, and you weren't interested in them. That say someone asked you out and you're not attracted to them. You don't find them attractive whatsoever. Perhaps you see them as a brother or a sister or something like that, right? Of course, then you would reject them and you'd say no, thank you, I'm not interested, or yeah, I'm not really looking to date right now, or whatever. You'd say those kinds of things, right? And just like how you can't help that you're not attracted to those people, this person who you are attracted to can't help that they're not attracted to you either, right? So just keep it to yourself. If you're angry, if you're upset, keep it to yourself, okay? Because first of all, if you do show that you're upset or you're butthurt about the situation, then that's going to show that you're not indifferent at all, and it's going to make you look unattractive, right? Because sometimes you can switch these situations around. Like if you ask someone out, right, and they say no, thank you, and then you're like, okay, cool, no worries. Sometimes that can make them question whether or not they made the right decision, because usually most of the responses that they probably get are they get more follow-up questions after that, like, oh, how come? Don't you like me? Are you not attracted to me? Sometimes they get people actually do that, so they may not actually expect you to actually be so cool about it and so level-headed about it, and that may actually sway them to actually start liking you a bit, right? So that's just something to think about. So even if you do care, try not to show it, right? Try your best not to show it. Now, of course, if you ask someone out, right? If you ask someone out face to face, and they reject you, it's okay to look a little bit disappointed. It's obviously you might not be able to help that, but it's what you do afterwards. When someone rejects you face to face like that, it's always best to not hover around or try to extend the conversation. Just if you ask someone out in person and they say no, be like, okay, that's fine. I hope you have a good day, and then just walk away. Right? Don't try and hang around them or anything like that, because that will, I don't know. It's not always it's not the best idea to do that kind of thing. Okay, so if you do care, don't show it. Okay, so the next point that I want to make is the aim is to get to a place, right? Because this will help it become more authentic, right? The aim is to get to a place where you do feel a lot more carefree about these things. Because obviously, if you do care a lot when you get rejected, that's fair enough, right? That's fair enough because, it hurts to be rejected and it's not a nice thing to go through. But if you can get to a place where you actually really enjoy your life and you feel a little bit more carefree, because let's say you kind of like your work circumstances, you kind of like what you get up to in your free time, you quite enjoy your life, you enjoy your circle of friends and your family and things like that. You have a nice, lovely busy life that you're happy with, these things won't affect you as much. Whereas if your life right now is totally consumed with finding a partner or trying to get your ex back or something like that, if your whole focus is your love life right now, perhaps you go to work and still do those kinds of things, but perhaps your mind is just totally focused on romance right now, then when you do get rejected like this, or you do have a breakup, then yeah, of course it's going to feel like the end of the world, because your whole life is your relationship with this person or this crush that you've got. Whereas if you're living a life which you're more content with, and you've got goals and you've got aspirations, you've got things that you're working towards, these things won't matter as much. They'll still hurt, they'll still sting. It's not like you're not going to feel anything when you get rejected or whatever, because you will feel the disappointment, but it won't be as bad, and you can move on much more easily, you see. Okay, so that's basically how you get to a place where you feel more carefree. You start to design a life that you would like to live, right? So I always say this to people, where would you like to be in 5 years' time? What kind of lifestyle would you like to be living? What kind of hobbies would you like to be diving into? What kind of skills would you like to learn? What kind of body would you like to have? What kind of area would you like to live in? What would you like your friendships to look like, and things like that, and what would you like your bonds with your family to be like, right? And start focusing on those things, right? So you can, what would really make you happy? What would really make you feel content with life, right? And put aside romance for a little while, because obviously romance may be a part of that, which is fair enough, but focus on the things that you can control right now. Right, focus on the things that are within your control, because you can't really control too much about romance. Obviously, you can make sure that you've got dating apps. You can make sure that you're putting yourself out there and asking people out and things like that. Obviously, that's within your control. But you can't really control when romance and finding the one or whatever will happen, right? But you can control finding a better job if you prefer to get a better job, right? You can control what you get up to in your free time, and having a good time at that. You can control finding friends or new friends that match this new lifestyle. You can control how you show up in your relationships with your family, so you can have better bonds there. Those things are in your control, right? You see. So, and if you start doing that, and if you start focusing on those things, this whole romance thing won't be such a big deal, and you will have a more take it or leave it attitude, right? You will feel more confident and more better about yourself, especially as well if you're taking care of yourself, you're eating the right things, and you're taking care of your body as well. Okay, so if you do that, that will help you feel more indifferent. Okay, but until then, you may have to fake it till you make it, right? You may have to just pretend that you don't care, right, when these things happen. Right, so thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye, guys.